Success in farming is all about precision and efficiency, ensuring every seed, every drop of water, every nutrient and treatment counts. Terraplex Ag is helping farmers all over Iowa and the Midwest do just that. With precision ag drone technology and support from Terraplex, you'll boost your productivity and make timely and informed decisions, all while reducing your costs and increasing your profit. It's time to revolutionize your farming. Harvest the benefits with Terraplex Ag. Visit TerraplexAg.com.
Chris Williams, Brent Blum, from the Wild Rose Casino Studio. It's Williams and Blum, presented by Mechdyne, on the Cyclone Fanatic Podcast Network.
What up?
I saw Bruce Buffer last night.
You watched the fights?
I did.
You watched the fights?
I mean, kind of. No.
Why did you watch the fights and not tell me you were watching the fights? Because I didn't think I could get anyone to watch the fights, so I went to bed.
I don't know. Somebody sent me. I don't know. I don't know if it
Oh,
was
you
legal.
were illegally
I don't know
streaming
if it was legal.
Why would you steal from creators?
I didn't steal from it. Somebody put the link out there, and I watched it.
You know that's a big no-no for me, right?
I know. So I didn't tell you.
It pisses me off when people do that. What do you just want none of this to exist
I
someday?
understand. I shouldn't have said that. It was a weak moment. I clicked the link.
It's okay. After yesterday, you were probably about 14 deep. Probably didn't know any better.
No, I was very much not. I went to the women's game and had a good quiet evening after that. So, great day at Hilton Coliseum, everybody. Let's go.
Was a good day at Hilton Coliseum. I felt like it was a necessary day at Hilton.
Just a cathartic day. It's enjoyable all the way around. Saw a lot of friends. Saw Chappie just hanging out, wearing a shirt from 1995 for some reason.
No, I saw that. Yeah, that was a great looking shirt. May as well give Chappie his love right now. That's the realtor you want to buy from right there. The dude who wears the 1995 Iowa State basketball shirt.
Good to see Chappie. You know, he'll sell your house too.
He will sell your house. Hunziker guy. Welcome to the program. Another early show because there's apparently a football game later today. I know this as it's 1 week until the Daytona 500.
I was going to see if that's – I figured it wasn't today because you would be a little more amped up.
No, why would they – why would they do that before
You're right.
The Super Bowl?
So what does NASCAR have? Do we got qualifying and stuff? Have we done that?
So all that starts on Thursday. They have the duels, the twin, which is always fun. You know, and I there's nobody listening to this who loves NASCAR and racing more than I do, but I don't really love the Daytona 500 though. That sounds crazy. It's just like it's such a crapshoot of a race that I prefer. It's like if you're an NBA fan, if you're a diehard NBA fan, you probably think the field of 64 is stupid because it doesn't really give you the best team.
I gotcha. Yeah.
Right? I prefer the best of 7 racing format compared to just throw them all out there and just roll the effing dice. That's what super speedway is to me. But no, I'm excited.
Happy for you.
This Super Bowl means nothing to me. I don't care. I'm gonna watch it, obviously. Do you have a dog in this fight?
I don't.
There's no Iowa State guys playing. I love Mahomes still. I'm not full anti-Chiefs just because I love Mahomes.
I respect Jalen Hurts. I don't dislike any of these either.
Forget he's a Big 12 guy.
Yeah. The only thing the Chiefs, like the Mitch Holtz stuff.
Yeah, all that
is like us against. It's like, come on, you guys, just stop. You're really good. Just be good. Don't have to Rub it in with everybody.
No, I'm with you right there, brother. We are presented as always by our friends at Mechdyne.
We gotta give a shout. Brad G though. Brad G, Iowa State.
Yeah,
guy.
yeah, Iowa State
That's
guy.
why
So
we-
that honestly, that's why I'm rooting for the Chiefs.
Yeah,
is
that's
because
about
of Brad.
So
Yeah.
Brad's the VP of communications for the Chiefs, and he went to journalism class with C-Dub and I.
Yep.
Where did we go wrong?
Well,
It was the same classes.
yeah. I mean, he's just doing a lot better in his life. We're up until 2 a.m. tearing down flowers from recruiting events.
That's right.
I'm just kidding. By the way, that was a great party on Wednesday night. Thank you to your wife and you and everybody. I really do mean it. You guys kept CF involved. You didn't have to over the years, and I appreciate that. It's that's kind of our baby. That Wednesday night of isn't it wild how different signing day is?
Yeah.
Like I was thinking about that the other night. Like that used to be the biggest day on the calendar for us.
You would
The
get up
single
at
biggest day.
4 a.m. and
Yeah.
monitor everything, and it was still signing day. Like it really
so
was.
way back in the day, this is cool. People will like this insight. So like I would sit at the Jacobson building in Chris Ash's office, and we would wait for the faxes to come in. And then I would be on cyclonation.com. All right,
You're running blog or running message board thing.
yeah. Rory Nelson,
Yeah.
the letter's in.
Webster Patrick
Webster Patrick.
has
Webster-
arrived.
Webster Patrick almost got me barred from the Jacobson building. That's
He's
a
one of the-
whole other story for another day.
He's one of those legends from
I was
the
a-
Wayback Machine.
Very overzealous young reporter that the McCarney staff did not appreciate making certain calls that I did. Oh man, the old time. But no, for real. Like I was sitting there thinking about that, like because you guys have taken this whole deal on this Wednesday thing, and you've taken it to a whole different level. It's not even the same like hemisphere, but it is crazy the evolution of that.
Yeah.
Because that was the biggest day on our calendar for 15 years, and now we don't even think about it other than the party.
Well, no, and the interesting thing, we're in a group text together, and it made me think out loud, like high school recruiting has never been less important across college athletics. It's still important at Iowa State, though, because
I agree.
That is the life, and it's important for everybody, more for, I'd say, college football than college basketball. But in this market, in this world, and we're calling it a market now, let's just call it professional, it's a lot easier to keep a guy than to get a guy. As far as on your roster. And so and Iowa State's a developmental program, so it still matters a lot to Iowa State. It's just interesting across the college sports landscape. There used to be like shows dedicated to signing day. I didn't see anything on Wednesday, just nothing. So interesting times. But just real quick, some housekeeping notes. We still have our online auction that all is included for Operation 300,000. If you go to WeeboCollective.com, we got a link there on our socials. I'll put it out there again, but we got about 25 or 30 items for silent auction, some one-of-a-kind stuff, some helmets, you can have dinner with Rocco. You could have dinner with me and Heft and Walters.
By the way, not to name drop here, I had a little time with Rocco this week. He's a really special young man.
He's one of my favorites.
Really nice, just down to earth, just a really great representation of what all of this is.
Yep. That's my thing even on Wednesday. So we had 13 of the guys come Wednesday night, and appreciate everyone for braving the ice, by the way, to get there.
Yeah.
We ended up raising about $225,000, which was awesome. And obviously we have more room to grow, and we could use every penny with the portal open again for football and in basketball. But you like supporting the guys. Like they're so appreciative, they're so humble. And it just makes you feel good about where your dollars are going in a lot of sense, because they're going to take those dollars, invest in themselves for sure, their families, and a lot of them don't come from much, and then invest in the community. And Rocco's the perfect example of what he's done. And plus, he's just a quality guy. So it makes you feel better about when he has success on the field, because he is a good guy.
I said this when this whole thing began, is if we could somehow through the NIL thing humanize the players a little bit more, I think it'd be great for everybody. I think we've done a pretty good job with that. I do still there are instances where it's harder to stomach, like when, well, I pay your salary, you piece of shit. Like I can't stand that. But
I agree.
But that's also part of the problem here, that where you're asking the fans to
Totally.
do that, or and they know this, like it's all going to change, like,
Well,
and it's
and we talked, and let's bring us to basketball. That's where we're going to talk a lot about basketball here. After the past couple of weeks, I did get some messages from some people saying, I can't believe you're paying that guy, or what is that guy doing? I want my money back, yada yada. It's just like, that doesn't really help anybody, by the way. It doesn't help me.
like,
doesn't
and
help
what are
me.
you in it? What are you in it for? Are you in this because you want Iowa State to win, or are you in this because I don't know.
It's just
Everybody's
hard.
different.
Everyone has different.
I'm not going to tell you how to be a fan.
Yeah, but I'm glad. I guess that was a very cathartic day in Hilton for a lot of reasons, and everyone just felt really a lot better about things. And it's crazy, whether we like it or not, how much winters in Iowa can be dictated by the success of the basketball teams. It's kind of the deal.
You were there, right?
Yeah.
I don't bet on Iowa State, but if I did, I would have put your mortgage on Iowa State 20 minutes before that game yesterday.
TCU,
there was a feeling that they were going to take something out on somebody. It just felt like that. With Milan coming back, and it was kind of a surprise. Like, he didn't get cleared till yesterday morning.
Yep.
They were hoping that he would, but none of that was a guarantee. And we've kind of alluded to that on this show. Like, it felt like Cincinnati was like, he'll definitely be back, but it could be any time before. And then game day being there they did a good job with that. I really appreciated how ESPN and Iowa State worked together there. I was talking to some marketing people, and I told them, because I was watching the show on my phone.
Yeah, I watched it back last night. I thought they did a really nice job.
Well, and I thought it was cool. Game day kind of leading up to the tip-off, like, they had their like reporter out there with Curtis interviewing him during warm-up. It was neat. It really looked cool, I thought. Everybody did a great job with that. And I think Iowa State did a good job with how they like centered the thing, and it was a great day.
For sure, because I wondered, I was talking to some folks this week, like, how are you going to pull this off with the game starting right after game day? Because usually it's a 5-hour difference, and they put the desk at midcourt. I'm like, the guy's got to warm up, but I thought they executed it really well. And, I'm sure ESPN was like not ideal for them, the fact that there wasn't a marquee game. And so Iowa State was just kind of
see what they were doing, though, Brent.
100%. I thought they did a great job.
They
highlight a
were
really good team. Yep.
Showcase a good team with a good fan base.
You got it. And it came across.
Yeah.
And I thought, I thought all those guys did a really nice job of watching it back of, I kind of felt bad for TCU. They didn't talk about TCU at all. But it's like, nobody was there for TCU.
Yeah. They weren't there for the game. They were there for the scenery.
The show. Yep.
And Iowa State really pulled it off well. I'm not surprised. And it also is funny, too, because I was talking to a young man who I think just does a fantastic job, Ben. He does all those Quad City Times and all those papers. Hutchins.
Yeah, he's
I
awesome.
think he's just an incredible young journalist, and I love him.
Yep.
And he was telling me that this was his first time seeing like a game day up close, and he went to Oklahoma State, I think. He's from Stillwater. Go follow him on Twitter.
Ben
support
Hutchins.
his work.
Great guy.
Really great kid. I shouldn't call him a kid. He's a colleague, but he's a kid to me because I'm the old guy now. But I really, really appreciate him. Anyways, Ben was asking me, what is this like compared to when they've had it before? And I hadn't thought about it like that. And I was like, it's weird, Ben, is like, it's kind of like been normalized a little bit. Like the first time it was like, oh my God, like,
ESPN and our names?
Right?
What? Yeah.
And yesterday it was like, I don't really need to get there 2 hours before the show. I mean, and I thought the fans were just really cool. It was very welcoming. We deserve this. And then you can tell Iowa State has been through this now with ESPN, with football twice. And now, was that the third time for basketball? I think the third time.
It's the third time.
Yeah, third time for basketball. But just a great day as far as that goes. And most importantly, the team comes together. We get the Milan bat signal.
Put it out. And he delivered.
He did. And
in the second half, at least.
I love Iowa State draws up a play for him on the first play down. No, he didn't hit the shot, but nonetheless, that was a signal from the head coach. And TJ's quote after the game was perfect, where he said something along the lines of, we knew once he was cleared he would play well. Like, this wasn't a oh, let's work him in, get him ready for Houston, nothing like that. Like he was seeking shots, and man, that Milan from the corner, we missed the shit out of that thing.
Oh
Holy
my gosh.
crap.
Right
it just
away.
changes everything,
Right away.
doesn't it?
It did. I mean, it was even the first 5 minutes, I would say it was a little sluggish because they were still trying to feel everything out. But man, it's like the Red Sea opened for Keyshawn and Curtis again. That was the cool part.
I actually thought I thought Keyshawn was a little bit like, oh, this is here again.
Yeah, 100%. He was slower to react.
Yeah.
It's almost like, oh, I'm playing the UCF defense again. But no, it changes a lot. And I think, looking back, what Milan does for this team is it doesn't come across just in a box score, because you can't measure floor spacing in a box score other than the final tally. And just go back and watch the first half of all of a sudden Curtis, Keyshawn, and Tatum are like, oh, I can drive. And then also you had Jackson and Jefferson not getting harassed by three little guards in there too. And so they're able to ISO up and just go to work with their size. He's a game changer for this Iowa State team. And I know it's just TCU, but I hope that's more of what it's going to be the rest of the way. And the fact that Milan took those shots in the second half and made a bunch of them, Iowa State's a different team with that guy. It just is. And it just makes the 3-game skid a little bit easier to swallow, because it's like, okay, well, now I understand why that happened, and now we're going to get better for it and move on. So just a really healthy day, and I was impressed with how Iowa State adjusted. It was slow at first, but they did two things really well. They moved the ball a lot better. Turnovers are still a problem, but I think that was more of a unselfish mentality in a weird way than anything. Like the guys were trying to be too unselfish, and it just led to some passes that weren't necessary. But as we talked about this week, is like this game had to start on the defensive end, and Iowa State completely shut off TCU's water. They had nothing. They had nothing going.
I thought about this yesterday. Is there a player on the roster who was probably negatively impacted by Milan's absence more than Keyshawn?
Nope.
Okay. So I have the right read there?
Yeah, I mean, for sure, because Keyshawn's an aggressive guy, and just watch what Iowa State will do. Just get in the nerddom of basketball. They'll put both those guys on the same side of the floor, so they'll run Keyshawn off the wing. They'll stick Milan in the corner, and then Keyshawn's got, because that guy can't help over on the help side, and so he's got that drive to the basket. And what I thought Keyshawn did a really good job of yesterday was then looking for his teammates. Sometimes too much. He wasn't aggressive, just reckless in there.
Yeah.
But he had 8 assists in that game, 5 turnovers. But that's what Gilbert can do.
Did you watch it back?
Yeah,
I'll give him 3.5 turnovers.
Yeah,
a couple of those
totally
bigs catch the damn ball.
They drop
catch so I'll give him 3.5. Maybe he shouldn't have, but just to be fair, I thought.
Well, in Iowa State, scores 82 and was pretty efficient doing so. And this is the 36th ranked defense, TCU. These aren't slappies, So that was good to see. And I thought Iowa State was slow, but man, from about the 12-minute mark of the first half on, that was vintage Iowa State from this year, and what I think you can expect the rest of the way. And that was even with Milan, who wasn't quite fully conditioned. This Iowa State team, that is exactly what everybody needed. I feel now. I mean, the hope is you reel off several in a row here, C-Dub, and then the committee goes, oh, wait a second, what happened to Iowa State in early February? Oh. Yeah. They didn't have one of their best players. Let's factor that in.
Well, the other thing, too, if you watch these post-game press conferences after Iowa State's 3-game losing streak, every one of the coaches mentions the injury. Now, it's just funny to me, though, because I've been told by fans on Twitter for 2 weeks now that the great teams, they overcome the injuries, right? Well, Brent, you know this better than anyone right now. When it comes to roster building in college basketball, there are not many teams anymore that can withstand stuff. Now, I get it. Auburn lost a guy for a while. There are not many teams that are deep enough with good enough players anymore, because it's spread out all over the country, that can just be like, we're going to lose our number one floor spacer, our number one shooter, and pick up like nothing happened. That is not a thing in college basketball anymore.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, just look at honestly, the best thing that's ever happened to me with college basketball is watching the NBA a lot. When the NBA loses one of their best players, teams will go through skids. Like, it's an adjustment.
Oh, yeah, they'll lose like 9 in a row.
It's an adjustment not only because you don't have the guy from a production standpoint, but then it moves all the chairs around, and people are in uncomfortable positions. And, I think Iowa State put some guys in some situations they were not comfortable with, and they tried to make their best. And quite honestly, two things. It's good that Curtis had those out-of-world experiences for 2 of those games, or else those could have gone differently.
Really should have lost to Arizona State.
Right. He won by 15, but
and he should have lost that game, and he should have beaten Arizona.
Well, and then so now this is where I wanted to go. Gosh, that Arizona game. Iowa State is that shot right now from being back in the 1 seed line, even with the losses. Because Arizona is now.
I told you that's the most painful live game I think I've ever been to.
It's getting worse from that context because that win would look incredible right now. They keep winning. They house Tech. I mean, it was a good game.
Y'all stay up for that last night?
I did. I was awesome. That was awesome.
That was a great
actually,
game.
Really high-end game. But
Tommy Lloyd's done a hell of a job.
He's done really good.
Between him and Tang, like those two guys have just done this is an anti-Jerome Tang podcast, but can we give the man his flowers?
I'm at least
they've
giving
now
him
won. We told you to keep betting them, by the way. I hope you guys have been doing it. I told you.
If you
sprinkle on the money line.
WeWillCollective.com.
Yeah, I
You're
told you
welcome.
guys that the numbers had not caught up to this yet, and they're probably going to start now. I don't know. I bet you can still get value when Arizona comes to town. Keep betting Kansas State on Tuesday night, whatever it is. But they've won 5 in a row now.
Yep.
3 quad 1 wins in a row. 2 of them were on the road, and they just housed Kansas on Saturday.
They're up to 73 in the net, so they're
How much better is the Big 12 now than it was a month ago?
light years.
Yeah.
Light years. Just
Factor
so
in
competitive.
Tech, Arizona, and Kansas State, just what those 3 teams have done alone.
K-State all the way up to 58 in Ken Palm after being 110 2 weeks ago. That is nuts. That doesn't happen. What they've done is wild. And
last coach to do a job like that was Wayne Morgan.
I mean, that was my first. Wayne started 0-5 that one year and then made the tournament. It's actually the comp is more accurate than for a lot of reasons. But I think it's a great league right now. Arizona is playing awesome. They're playing great basketball. I'm fascinated with that game on Tuesday. I don't know why Iowa State has to play the same day as that game because I want to watch both of them.
Is it the same time?
Yeah,
Probably
is it? It probably is at the same time.
We're in the East Coast, so maybe I don't know. We'll have to look it up later. Yeah, I just
another great day in the Big 12 though. This is gonna be fun. And Houston is not invincible. They really aren't.
Oh man, they almost lost at Colorado.
Yeah.
We'll talk about all that coming up in our Wiffles Hybrids Big 12 segment. Coming up next conversation, we're going to talk about Iowa State's rotation now that Milan Momcilovic is back.
Hot topic.
Good God. Win by 30. And then where's Watson? We'll get to all that. We do want to thank our great sponsors, starting with our friend Colin Newell from Farm Bureau Financial Services. He handles the insurance for everything that Blum and I have with our homes. He can do life. He can do all that great stuff. And Brock Purdy used to touch his rear end. We got that right this time. Apparently, I said the other way a couple weeks ago.
Too. Yeah.
Colin Newell, that's 1L. Just Google him in Farm Bureau Financial Services, and Colin can help you save a ton of money and get better coverage. That's what he did for both Blum and I. Also, would like to thank our friends at Kelderman Manufacturing. It was great to see all those guys show up at the We Will event on Wednesday. They're just great supporters of everything we do. I was texting Keith Murphy about Kelderman the other night because Kelderman's supporting Keith's son, who is doing this amateur boxing match down in Arizona, and I was like, that's Kelderman for you. He's just a great guy. He just likes to support people.
To help out.
Yeah. Kelderman Manufacturing. Check him out at kelderman.com. Go ahead and check out Jeff's YouTube page. It's badass. If you like trucks, big old diesel custom trucks. I love taking a look at that each and every chance that I get. Also, my friends at Game Day Men's Health. I'm having Lindsay come on my CW pod, one of the doctors there, to come on and talk about all the cool things that we can do. That's coming up here in like a week or so. But we're gonna have it called the "Don't Be a Fat Ass" version of the CW pod, and then Woody's gonna come on and give men like weightlifting and workout programs and stuff. I'm looking forward to it. See if we can help some guys here in 2025. Game Day Men's Health, baby.
I can't say enough. Can't say enough good things about my game day health experience.
Blum loves the tea.
I do love the tea.
He's all teed up. You can tell.
So it's funny. Somebody sent me. They heard Wednesday like Blum. I heard you lost 10 pounds through that thing. What kind of tea is it? Like he thought it was like a green tea or a
Oh.
herbal tea. And I was
No,
like,
it's
no.
testosterone, baby.
Wrong kind of tea, my friend. Wrong kind of tea.
You know what else I like, and I don't know. I can't prove it. I think my beard is fuller. I swear to God, like it would make sense, wouldn't it?
More tea? I assume so.
I would
I'm
assume so.
I'm not
I
a
would assume so.
biologist, but probably.
All right. Let's talk about the rotation.
Yes.
And listen, I've been here through that Wayne Morgan year where you 0-5. I've been through the Steve Prohm years. I've been through Royce White. I've seen it all. So I'm very used to fans. A few years ago, it was Tristan and Aruna.
Yep.
Fans will like cling on to a guy like so.
Obviously,
when
we had the Omaha experience last
the
year.
Omaha deal last year, so just a week ago, it was Noyes and Drusitis that everyone like. So they always want like the next guy to play more. This is the case if you're bad, good, whatever. This is fascinating. This Demarion Watson case.
It is
because he is played really well, I think, in the minutes Iowa State has asked him to play. His rebounding rate is off the charts, and he is a phenomenal teammate. Like this young man deserves all of the love and admiration that this Iowa State fan base gives him. Momcilovic comes back, and we didn't know what the rotation would be. We talked about this last week when Milan came back. Would Heise go to the bench? Would Watson go back to the bench? Do you go small and play and put Chatfield on the bench? I don't know. Well, it was Watson that went back. And a lot of fans just cannot understand this. One of the problems Heise has is that he's made some really high-profile blunders offensively that look horrible. And I'm not – listen, I'm not speaking for anyone here. Let me give you what I think that they are thinking, and then I'll let you kind of go for it. TJ, they were the number two ranked team in the country when this injury occurred. And, you know, nobody was calling to bench Heise at that point. And, you know, my theory is that his role changed. Everybody's role changed when 22 went out. And maybe that role was just a little too much. And he didn't play as well within that role. You bring back Momcilovic, and one thing that you cannot debate is that Heise is Iowa State's most versatile defender, specifically on the ball. And I think, my guess is, if you're looking at, like, why would you play him over Watson in those minutes, he's a better perimeter defender. And, you know, that's something where, you know, you really want to be good. The other thing is, too, Brent, that I think is important here to note, and I would love to do more. You might have better insight on this. But when Watson's in the game, he's usually defended by a big. If he's defended at all, which he's often not. They often will just lag. Because he's defended by a big, they'll keep the big around the basket.
There's a reason why he does so many cuts to the baskets, because they kind of leave him alone out there.
Correct.
Right.
When Heise is out there, he's defended with a guard. And it's a spacing thing. I'm watching this yesterday. Like, more often than not, that is what happens. So, again, I don't have, like, the perfect answer here. I don't know exactly what they are thinking. But I'm putting all these two things together. I think that is leading us into a direction as to why the rotation would be what it is. What do you think about all that?
Yeah, I mean, it's not. I don't think it's that complicated. They don't play the same position. Short answer, they don't.
Correct.
Yesterday, for example, the Trezarian White kid for TCU makes a couple threes in the first half, and you kind of get heated up a little bit. You know, he's the 6'4" guard for TCU. Iowa State brings in Heise, and he doesn't score the rest of the half. Again, can Watson
guard? Go back
guard
to that Marquette game. Go back to the Iowa game. We've seen this before.
Can Watson guard a guard? Sure, yeah. But he, I think the conversation, if you want to have the Watson conversation, it's Watson potentially for Chatfield, not Watson
and play
for
small.
Heise. Yeah, because they don't play this. Watson is a forward. He's not a guard. When Iowa State goes small with Heise, they like him as a guard because he can switch. He, Taman, Curtis, Keyshawn can all switch 1 to 3, 1 to 4 then. Again, Watson can do it, but that's not his role. He's a post-ish. Now, he's not as big as those other guys. So it's not 1-to-1. I understand where you want to make it 1-to-1 because it's just easier to compartmentalize that way. But they just don't play the same position. And think of Heise as your backup to Gilbert more than anything here. Don't think of him as the backup to Milan because what we have seen now with Momcilovic hurt is he is separate than anybody Iowa State has. You can't replace him with just one guy. Clearly, you can't. Iowa State tried a combo with Watson and Heise. Neither did very well because neither can do what he can do. And so I think the conversation, if you want to have the Watson conversation, I like Demarion. I think he does a lot of great stuff. He's a great teammate.
We all love him. What a story he's been.
It's
selfless. That is true.
It's Chatfield, not Heise. I mean, Heise is a guard. He is in the guard rotation. And it's as simple as that. Now, I agree, Nate has not been good offensively, but he still does things like shut down White that nobody, you can't see unless you're really understanding why he's in there. And quite honestly, like we saw again, when you have Momcilovic on the floor and you got Gilbert and you have Jones and you have Jefferson playing well and you have Taman going down, you don't need Nate shooting the ball. And I understand, you did need him shooting the ball when Milan was hurt because you needed that floor spacer, and he didn't do it, and that's what bogged the offense down. It's just a different conversation with 22 back. And listen, I love Demarion. I think he will play. He'll have some productive minutes here.
Yeah, he's
but
not done.
It's not a Heise Watson conversation. It really isn't. And then the question is, well, then Chatfield hasn't been great either. Do you put Watson in for him? Perhaps, but Chatfield's also 6'11", 275. And he can guard the rim, and so can Watson, but just different. It's a different type of body in there than Watson, who's 6'7", 190, right? So it's not 1-to-1. It's not apples to apples, and it's a more nuanced conversation than just that guy's not playing well, get him out of there. And would you like Nate to be playing better? Absolutely. I
thought he played pretty well yesterday.
I thought he did some good things. Offensively, I would love for him to just take some shots. I really would, but I would say 1 by 30 against a team in the top 75 of Ken Palm. I'm not debating the rotation for that game.
And the fact that that's the conversation is a good sign.
It is. I mean, I understand it.
I do too. And
I
Watson
remember
is one of the most popular players we've seen in the last 10 years.
And he does some great things, and it's not the same position. And it's kind of simple as that. It's just not the same position.
I don't have a lot more to add to that.
I got some text here, so I'm like, I don't know what to tell. It's not the same. The conversation, if you want to have the Heise conversation, it would be Noyes for Heise, honestly. You want to have that conversation. I will go that route. I will go the Watson more for Chatfield. That is more, in my opinion, 1-to-1 than the Watson-Heise conversation. Because what Iowa State has to do when you bring in Watson is completely different when they have Heise on the floor from a rotation standpoint.
Yeah, of all the things because we just threw a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I guarantee this is the most listened to part of this podcast based on my Twitter feed.
No, I like the conversation. This is why this is why we're all fans, by the way. It's good it's healthy to have this conversation.
Yeah. But the biggest point of everything we made is the perimeter defense thing. That is it though. We can talk about all the other stuff, but as to why he's out there, that is it.
I would encourage, again, it's boring. Nobody likes perimeter defense when you're just watching a game. But watch Iowa State's activity with Heise defensively on the floor compared to some of the other guys that would be in there. The traps, the forced turnovers, all of those things. Again, I'd have to look at the plus minus, and it's the data in college basketball defense isn't perfect. But this is Iowa State's watched these guys for 7 months, the coaching staff. They have a pretty good idea who's going to work here and what their numbers are collectively. So I understand the conversation. I'm pro discussion. It's good to have expectations here, but I don't think it's a Watson-Heise conversation. I just think they're different players.
And we'll leave it at that. I also think that just because that was how it was on Saturday doesn't mean they won't move things around with matchups and all that different stuff as well.
Because again, TCU they had a bunch of wings too. I mean, they had like some smaller guys that they didn't have overwhelming size.
We'll see what happens like against Houston or
correct.
Yeah.
And everybody's a little bit different. Man, I'm just not going to nitpick winning by 30 on rotations there. And I think the other part here, C-Dub, if I'm looking at afar, you wanted to get Momcilovic a lot of run yesterday to get him back in the rhythm.
Yeah.
I think there was a point that maybe you could have brought Watson in at some point in the second half to spell. But how much better do you feel as a fan that Momcilovic hit those 3 threes in the second half, or 4 threes, and now he feels better going into Tuesday? That was why he was playing so much. Like, yes, would you have loved to have Watson in there? Absolutely. But the long term of Milan making some shots will benefit this team a lot more because you know what Watson can do.
Just a real quick update before we get to our Wiffles Big 12 segment. We are going to hit on the women, too, as they're starting to get their legs under them. Iowa State jumped from 11 to 9 in the net. They jumped from 10 to 8 in KenPom. The only reason I point that out, it doesn't really matter, but they like these big wins. Right? Like that's what these metrics love. They love convincing wins.
So that is also the other reason why you kept your starters in for most of the game.
Correct.
I mean,
they needed that after the last 2 games because they got
silly.
their asses kicked the last 2.
But the data looks a lot better today than it did
correct
Saturday morning.
Yeah, that's why. But it was fun though when they put rock and fish and
for sure.
Because they don't do a lot of that in the non-conference because of this reason. Like, this is why. There was that whole thing about Iowa State manipulating the net or whatever last year, and it's like, well,
we don't make the rules.
Yeah, we don't make the rules. We just are using them to our advantage.
So,
and by winning these games by double digits consistently, it does rack up points for you.
Well, and you are in the thick of it right now for the seed lines. I think the 1 seed, particularly with Florida beating Auburn, might be tough now. That
unless
result did
Duke
not
would
help.
tank or
they're not. Yeah, they'll be there.
Unless Houston would tank,
maybe Houston tanks, but it just seems. And Alabama had a big road
I think you're
win.
just shooting for a 2.
You're probably, but you are right there. Like, I would say Iowa State's right there with a 2. The best thing that happened to Iowa State yesterday, other than the obvious, which was winning by 30, was the fact that Kansas got blitzed by K-State, because that takes them down. Because you're fighting for Kansas in 2 fronts, seed line for sure, and you split both your games, so they're going to look head-to-head on that game for sure. Iowa State, I think, is now well ahead of them. I mean, well ahead for now. And then location, because both Iowa State and Kansas, might be looking at a Wichita location for the NCAA tournament. So Kansas getting beat by 15, just like Iowa State got beat by 15 by K-State, hugely helpful for the long term. And let's just be honest, when it's Kansas v. Iowa State, from a reputation standpoint, a brand standpoint, Kansas might get the nod. So it's nice to keep as much separation as you can between yourselves and the Jayhawks, and won't see them again until the Big 12 tournament. The other thing that Iowa State helped with yesterday, with the Tech loss, with the Kansas loss, is that double bye in the Big 12 tournament is hugely important. So the top 4 seeds get a double bye in the Big 12. We got to get used to this. It's different than we've had in the past. So most of the tournament will start on Tuesday. If Iowa State has a double bye, Iowa State would not play in Kansas City until Thursday as a top 4 seed, and they are right in that conversation right now.
And I also think that's just important with just playing one less game in general. I'm not even talking about your resume.
Nope.
It's just, God, because whatever day they play, there's a decent chance they're going to the championship. Because it's Iowa State and Kansas City, right?
Yeah, and you're going to get if you get a double bye, you get the benefit of the doubt in the committee room between you as a 4 seed in the conference and the 5 seed as well, who very well could be Kansas, right? Like there is a psychological thing of, oh, well, Iowa State got the bye, so they're clearly better than Kansas. I mean, it's so yeah, there's something there as well of not only can Iowa State win the thing much more comfortably if you only have to play 3 games, but it looks better by having that double bye to begin with when the committee, because you know this, C-Dub, the committee does a lot of their work in advance. Like, they were already start slotting teams, and so a lot of times they won't move a whole lot of pieces 2 to 4 seed area throughout the conference tournament season. So if you can start ahead, you're going to stay ahead.
Let's touch on the women real quick, and then we'll get into our Wiffles hybrids Big 12 segment. MoveWhatMatters.com. Go to MoveWhatMatters.com today to support our friends at the Iowa State University Foundation. They have all different areas of, excuse me, I'm drinking a Red Bull here while we do this, all different areas of campus that you can give to. I always give to the marching band, the School of Journalism, the Ivy College of Business. I have given to veterinary medicine, the Companion Animal Fund. There's all these cool, everybody here can find somewhere on campus that has impacted them. And remember that as Forever True Day is coming up, and we want to do a big campaign.
My wife and I always give to the Study Abroad program, C-Dub, because
She did that.
My wife from Little Earl Armstrong, Iowa, kind of saw a whole new world when she went to Spain for study abroad.
Her brought her horizons to marry you.
And look at what she got now, everybody.
Where'd she go?
Barcelona
Oh,
or
nice.
Valencia, maybe both, somewhere over there. She was there for like 6 weeks. Loved it.
That's
Now she
pretty
wance
cool.
to take me back, but
Of course she does. That'd be very romantic.
but like I told her, the portal's always open.
It is always open. And that especially the case once middle of March gets here.
That's right.
Audie Crooks has 33 points.
Awesome.
Big time performance by Audie. Really one of the historic performance, going 15 of 20 from the field with 12 rebounds. That's one of the great games in women's basketball history in that building.
It was as impressive as the Iowa State women have looked all year, and very, very encouraging. Iowa State's playing really good basketball right now. Addie Brown was unbelievable. Look at her stat line. I mean, just a freakish stat line. She completely controlled the game from a point forward spot. It was really, really cool. Emily Ryan was great. AJ was great. Kelsey Jones was all over the place, making play after play. And you look now and you're like, oh, Iowa State is definitely C-Dub. If the tournament started today, would be in for sure. How about this number? I think this would surprise some people because again, largely with the expectations, the season's been, I don't want to call it a disappointment, but maybe not what everybody thought
I think
when
it's
you're
fair
entering
to
as a
call
top
it
10 team.
disappointment. I mean,
Yeah.
but they can turn this thing around and still get in the tournament and do something here. That's
Exactly,
key.
and they're well on their way of doing that. So how about this? Through 13 games in Big 12 play last year, Iowa State was 7-6. They're 8-5 right now.
Yeah.
So they are
point.
ahead
Yep.
of where they were a year ago in conference play.
Doesn't feel like that.
It
so
doesn't
that's a
feel
great
like it,
point.
though, right?
Yeah.
And now Iowa State got on a heater at the end of last year, and doesn't it seem like with Bill Fenley coach teams, this is when they pick it up?
They're always their best in like mid-February.
And look where we're at. Like
Mhm.
this is what history doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes type of thing. Iowa State is getting better, and Emily played great. I thought the guards have really improved. There's some confidence there, and if Brown and Crooks play like that, not only offensively, but those two were awesome defensively. Iowa State just kicked the crap out of a solid Colorado team, and it
Can we
was
talk
not
about
competitive.
Brown's 11 assists?
I mean, she's unbelievable. Her skill set is off the charts. I know Audie gets the headlines. Audie does things that nobody else can, but Addie, that 1-2 punch is, you get those two in the tournament, nobody wants to see them because that 1-2 punch is something that pretty much nobody else has. And I say that honestly.
Really, the key to this team though is just getting help from the outside. And when Jackson hits 4 threes, it just Hansford had some threes a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
She didn't play much yesterday, but whenever you get that contribution, it just changes everything with this group.
Yeah, I mean this floor space, and then Sid Harris hit a big one in the first half. Emily Ryan hit a couple. This team is playing really good basketball, and you look at the schedule setup, they can stack a couple more here. They get a week off, which is great. I think you're going to be looking come Big 12 tournament time and go, oh, how did Iowa State end up in the top 4 of the Big 12 when they had such a rough start to the season? Just wait for it because they're knocking on the doorstep here.
Love it. All right, Wiffles Hybrids Big 12 segment. Plant your independence. Plant Wiffles. Blum mentioned the late night rendezvous between Texas Tech and Arizona. We've already kind of hit on Kansas State, so I don't feel like we need to go there. But I think it's worthy to point out, if you go to the KenPom rankings today, 5 of the top 11 are Big 12 teams. So it's all of a sudden this narrative that, it's all SEC. Well, SEC's pretty good, and it might be better than the Big 12, but the cream is rising quickly as far as the metrics go.
I had a blast watching that Arizona Tech game. That was high-end stuff. I mean, those two teams are teams that are playing really good basketball right now and teams that I don't want to see if I'm somebody else. And, I think the Big 12 got hurt a little bit reputation-wise with Arizona struggling in the non-conference. But Arizona is playing, in my opinion, as well as anybody because those athletic guards, and when they get that big guy who was great last night, Vasir, playing that hard, oh, my goodness. That team can make a Final Four. I really believe that.
They have lost one game since December 18th. And that was on the road at Texas Tech.
What again comes to my point. It's like, I guess in a way, I'm glad that Iowa State game was on Big Monday because everybody saw it. And everybody saw that Iowa State had Arizona beat. So if that becomes a discussion item in that room, maybe
that's why I was so distraught because I know how good they are and how well Iowa State played that night. Yeah. It just killed me. It gutted me. If you would have been there, Brent, you would have been the same. Everybody I've talked to who was there, like that, Iowa State played so hard that night.
And by the way, without Momcilovic.
Yeah.
Think about that now. Yeah.
They deserve to win that game. But you know what? Back on Arizona though, he's done a great job with that team. Let me see where they are in the net. They're 7 in the net now.
Yeah, I mean that's the same. They are now very much locked into that conversation. Big 12 odds, real quick. It's a two-team race via Vegas and Houston, Arizona.
Houston and Arizona.
Yeah, that's it. Now, interestingly, odds to make the Final Four. You ready? I love this game because it hasn't changed at all.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because like the experts, when you watch how they maneuver things on a game-to-game basis, and then you see like media and fan reaction on a game-to-game basis, it makes us all look really stupid.
You read where I'm going here.
Yeah.
If we had Aiden, we'd be playing the tune. All right, odds to make the Final Four: Duke, Auburn, your even money favorites at 110 each. Then you have Alabama, Houston, Florida, all at 250. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And look who's there, tied for 6th. Your Iowa State Cyclones.
The Cyclones from Iowa State University.
300 tied with Tennessee at 6-1. So despite all this stuff in the last 2 weeks, Iowa State's odds to make the Final Four, go back and listen from 2 weeks ago, haven't budged. It's the same. And that's where I'm trying to, Iowa State is in decent position. I would love a 1 seed. Not going to happen. Probably not going to happen, guys. But your odds, your run is still very much on the table here. Thank you for that.
It just helps fill the mood.
And so, by the way, behind Iowa State, Kansas, Tech, St. John's.
Kansas isn't going to the Final Four.
Purdue, I could tell that's why that Kansas game is Self was really happy after the Iowa State game. He was like, maybe we figured it out. Nope, they regressed.
I just don't think he likes his team.
I don't think he does either.
Yeah.
I don't think he does. That was just where I was going to say that.
I will say this, too, in this league specifically, and if you don't follow Cyclone Fanatic on YouTube, we do a pretty good job of getting these press conferences up, the ones we can get. Sometimes on the road it's difficult. But watch the post-game press conference. If you want to be a really educated fan, watch how these coaches, because the league has pretty good coaches when it comes to giving you something.
Yeah, pretty honest. Even Dixon gave you Jefferson quote
great
yesterday.
Dixon was great. He gave the We Will Collective
he did.
love.
Some props.
But Lloyd, these guys are telling you what you need to know, especially if you want to leg up in your sports betting. This isn't a sports betting show, but I'm telling you, Bill Self doesn't like his team. You just get that vibe. He's grinding. He's not going to stop. And it also watch Tang right now. That's a guy with a lot of confidence. Lloyd's got a lot of confidence. You've been seeing these things will creep a little bit, and also I think it's been fun to watch TJ the last couple of weeks.
I agree.
Not panicking. He's telling you what's going on. Not making excuses. Stick with it.
I was up there this week, and I just got to. Everyone's like, "It's fine." I mean, they're not happy, but hey, we're good. We're cool.
Nobody was panicked.
Yeah, there really wasn't.
I was with some of the guys after the Kansas State game and locked in.
They know.
Not-
They know this team is, and that's why those odds to make the Final Four are super interesting. Literally, Iowa State hasn't budged from 3 weeks ago when it was 2 in the nation.
Let's look ahead. So our next show will be on Wednesday. So we'll react to the UCF game.
Scary game.
Yeah, and this is why I was really careful after Saturday to just like, hey.
It's on now. Yeah.
I mean, because this one is where it's funny. Like to me, it's like, is everything great? Okay, well, we'll find out on Tuesday,
Yes.
right? Like if they can go on the road and, I don't think they're gonna do to Central Florida what they did at Hilton. By the way, that is a 6:00 tip. I'm looking it up right now. ESPN Plus 6.
Another plus? Come on.
And hey, get this: Arizona, Kansas State is also on ESPN Plus. The whole league is on Plus pretty much.
What is on that darn golf league, isn't it? Tiger.
I don't know. I don't know, but that's another thing. Like where I've tried to explain to fans why ESPN Plus exists, and it's just there's a certain level where they don't understand it or they don't care, and I can't really explain it anymore. They're doing this because they know Big 12 basketball fans will pay for the service. It's not, oh, we're trying to screw your league. It's, the Pitt fans probably aren't going to pay for that service and you don't have an ACC network or an SEC network. Your Big 12 network is on ESPN Plus.
Yep.
And that's just how it's built. I mean, this goes back to the Texas Longhorns in 2010, but this isn't going anywhere.
No.
Yelling at me on Twitter is not going to fix this. I promise you, just get the subscription if you want to watch the games. If you don't, I'm coming on right after the game, and I'll tell you what happened.
So I thought it was interesting because I've been doing this occasionally here for games. All those games are on Disney Plus now for parents with kids, by the way.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
and the
okay,
streaming quality is actually better.
Really?
I think it's better. I think it's easier to navigate.
See, that's the problem with all this is the streaming infrastructure is just not good yet.
It's not great. I thought, I watched the replay last night. I thought the quality of the broadcast, it was clearly an ESPN broadcast that they put on ESPN Plus. It's a difference.
Yeah.
They had all the bells and whistles. It was fine. Like, you would not know the difference. But you're right. They are picking on the Big 12. They're not picking on them. They know Big 12 fans will buy it. That's why it's on there. I mean, it's a business decision, and the Big 12 knew what it was signing up for when it did this. Do we like it? No, but take it as
it sucks. I'd rather
take
be
it
on
as
the
a
big one.
better than the Iowa State cap that they know that you guys will buy it.
The biggest problem I have with it is not the that it's not on cable. I don't care about that. I don't like it when we get stuck with like bad broadcasters and stuff.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing, but we really haven't. I think
Mark Neely. I thought Neely and Childress was very complimentary. Never been to Hilton before, so
yeah, it's
I
fine.
had a throwback. So Randolph Childress was like randomly. He was a Wake Forest guard back in the day. For some reason, I had a fascination with Wake Forest when Randolph Childress and Tim Duncan were there.
Tim Duncan.
Yeah, he was.
Because that's the only reason you're paying attention to Wake Forest.
Well, so I was a nerd.
You're sick, Blum.
Everybody knows this. I picked Wake Forest to win my bracket as like a first grader, and then they got bounced in like the first round, and I've never forgiven them for that.
Yeah,
it was like 95.
I understand that completely.
Brutal.
My two teams as a kid that I randomly picked were Georgetown.
Yep.
Because of Iverson, and I also love Stephon Marbury.
Yes.
And Georgia Tech.
That's funny because I was
gravitated to those two.
I was a Wake Forest and a Georgia Tech guy for some reason. Bobby Cremins, baby.
Georgia Tech, man. I even had a Stephon Marbury like Russell athletic jersey at one point or something like that.
I bought. I did not know Chris until junior year of college. Really, I bought literally 2 pairs of shoes growing up as a kid. Stephon Marbury shoes and Allen Iverson shoes.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I didn't know that we were that closely.
Yeah.
That's great.
I like the little guards, clearly.
I just loved Iverson's the whole mentality, and I followed him to the pros too. It's like him, Robin, and Moss are honestly my favorite, and Niang be my favorite athletes of all time. Can we talk about Niang getting traded too? By the way,
well, Yes.
He went
Niang,
off on Saturday night.
He did. With 4 threes in a row. It's just painful for me, and I'm sure for George too, that he's making threes for the Hawks now. I'm sure
that
is
sucks though, because you go from chance to win an NBA championship to, you're just
more
scraping
minutes
to get into.
He's going to play more minutes, but they're fighting for a playoff
he started
spot.
and had 4 threes on Saturday night. He was talking shit and like.
The great thing with George, because
he's such a pro.
He knows this is part of it. Again, I talked to him a couple weeks ago. He's like, yeah, I mean, we're having a great year, but I know nothing's guaranteed. I mean, I think he probably had an inclination that they were.
From what I understand, he thought he was getting traded.
Yeah, I mean,
so it didn't come as like a shock.
It's just the nature of that's that league right now. That league has gone insane, but unfortunately, George got on the wrong side of it. But he'll play a lot more. So, League Pass still works watching the Hawks.
What is his deal? Does he have a deal with Atlanta next year?
I think he's got one more year left because he signed 3. This is year 2 of his 3-year deal. So
it's not horrible. We go down there, watch the Braves, and see George.
No, there you go. And he's still making $8 million a year. Not a bad night.
He's doing just fine for himself, little George.
Yes.
All right. Well, I think that covers your Iowa State University Cyclones news and notes for the week.
So what do we got? What do we got for the Big 12 schedule? Because I think it's super fascinating. We're team.
Let's look at that. So
we're thinking about 2 things here: seeding for the Big 12 tournament. But then you want Kansas to lose. Honestly, Iowa State and Tech are battling out for a 2 seed right now. I'm pro Tech losing. I would say Houston and Arizona. I mean,
here's what
they
you got.
can lose. All of them can lose. It'd be helpful.
Big Monday is Baylor at Houston.
Okay.
And again, Houston's in a rut right now. I fully anticipate they kick out.
And Baylor just destroyed UCF since the Ames meltdown has played 0 defense.
Well, let me tell you can get tickets to that game on Tuesday for $2
in
Orlando.
Orlando. Hey, there's some Florida clones. Go up there.
$2.
Just don't get on Universal traffic. Universal Studios traffic.
I'm not going to Orlando for a while. Did that, not going back for a while. You got Utah, Cincinnati. This is Tuesday night.
Nope, that's a 0.
BYU at West Virginia. And then we've got the Arizona-Kansas State game, which is a good one to watch. Who do you root for if you're Iowa State? Do you root for Kansas State? Probably, because they beat you by 20.
100%. I know it pains people, but yeah, you want Kansas State to win as many games as they can right now.
Yeah.
Because then that quad, what was it, quad 2 loss?
The Iowa thing's going to turn into a quad 2 at some point. They're tanking.
Honestly. So
they're at quad 1 right now.
The things you got to keep an eye on, like the West Virginia situation is going downhill for them.
Yeah.
Now, they did win yesterday against Utah, which seems like everybody's beating Utah. But then Iowa and Marquette are not playing good basketball at all. And neither is Dayton. So
I haven't checked in on Dayton.
What we thought was really good non-conference wins are not trending in the right way. Now, Iowa's got its issues. Everybody's aware. They got a guy hurt now.
Iowa's currently like 3 spots away from dropping off as a quad 1.
Yeah.
So that's probably not going to last.
And then, here's a theory I heard floated around the old hemisphere. If West Virginia continues to struggle, would DeVries consider jumping to Iowa?
What is the buyout situation and all that like?
I don't know. I haven't even looked. I haven't looked at all. I know Fran's buyout is still pretty substantial. I think it's more than $10 million.
I just don't see how they can keep him.
I don't think they.
Nobody's going to games. The players just don't seem happy. The fans don't really like him. I don't know. The best thing for Iowa State is that Iowa wins some games here.
I totally agree.
If you're an Iowa State fan, you want Fran McCaffrey there for as long as possible.
Yeah, I know, because I do think if I'm them, and I'm putting my AD hat on for the University of Iowa, I have a couple targets. DeVries is at the top, and then Steve Forbes at Wake Forest is probably right there as well. Either of those two.
What about the Illinois State guy? What's his name? Jay. Starts with a J.
Yeah, I don't.
What about Nico Medved? I'm just throwing out names.
Nico would be another one.
Nico would be a guy I would call.
Yep,
just
and they
give
might
an interview.
Honestly, they'll probably look at McCollum at Drake.
I don't know if I'd do that.
I don't think I would either.
I think he's a pretty good coach. It's just like, do you really know? Right? Like I don't know. Like he's only been there for a year.
So I go 3 guys if I'm them that are Highland guys that I think would look at it. I think it's DeVries, I think it's Forbes, and then Jans at Mississippi State.
Jans.
All-
that Jans. He's the old Illinois State guy. That's what I was saying.
Oh yeah, so
Yeah.
he's at
The
Mississippi
old
State. Yeah,
Isn't that where he came from?
He was at. He was over there. He was at.
That's
New
who I was
Mexico.
talking about.
Okay,
So
that's
what I was talking about. Yeah.
He's definitely someone, and honestly, all 3 of those guys would be a lot bigger of a pain on the recruiting trail than the current head coach at Iowa.
Yeah, no, it absolutely matters.
and it
It's an Iowa
matters.
State basketball podcast, and that matters.
Just
And-
keep an
and
eye on it.
The best thing for Iowa State is to keep Fran McCaffrey at Iowa.
It 100% for entertainment perspective and a direct competitive standpoint for sure.
So you gotta for real, and that I'm planning on that not being quad 1 in a week because I think they are tanking. I don't know if they'll win another game.
It's just interesting that. Yeah, I mean, I would like them to win a couple of games, honestly. Although it still is funny, but yeah, we all get it.
Good point though, because Dayton's dropped to 76.
It's bad. Marquette can't win right now, so those wins that looked really good are not looking as good. And then
Marquette's
honestly,
down to 22. Marquette's lost 3 in a row.
yeah. And now you look at Iowa State's Maui run, and it's not as impressive as we thought it might be. But again, you're gonna have opportunities. You keep stacking wins here, and
Tuesday's
you'll
an
be
important
fine.
game because
Yeah,
that's a very, very winnable quad 1 opportunity.
For Iowa
That's
State.
yes.
Yeah, I think
And the old Tim Floyd standings, if you can just get a couple of these road games, it makes you feel a lot better about that Kansas State loss. And
Yep.
especially if Kansas State keeps winning.
this game for Iowa State, because you've got now, because who's Iowa State have the rest of the week? You've got UCF
Cincinnati.
Tuesday, Cincinnati at home, Colorado at home.
Quad B.
You get UCF, I think, pretty confident with those other 2 at home, and now you're talking about getting back in the top 5 conversation. I really believe that because you'd be reeling off 4 in a row then.
And then just a great opportunity at Houston. I mean, it's the one
Exactly.
thing Iowa State has proven, I think, is that they are just fine in bad atmospheres.
Yep.
It didn't really phase them at Kansas. They just couldn't make a shot.
Or Arizona. Yep.
The Arizona game was the most impressive game. It just makes me sick
Yep.
that they ended up losing that the way that they did.
I
They were
like-
so good in that game.
I think if Iowa State, Tuesday's huge. Huge opportunity here. Got to have it. You reel off then 4 in a row going into Houston. I think Iowa State can win that game straight up. I really do. I don't think Houston's as good as we think. Now they're very good. They're very, very good, but they aren't as untouchable as they have been, in my opinion.
Let's look at them real quick. They've got Baylor, and then on Saturday the 15th, they go to Arizona.
Ooh. Okay.
Well, hold on, Brent. What are we going to – we got to watch that game together. Shit. Why is that a day game?
Saturday for them
That's an 11 a.m. local tip there. It's a 1 p.m. here. Actually,
must
it'd
be
be noon.
must be a
It's the
CBS
ESPN.
game. Or it's an
So I got to
ESPN
be
game.
in Hilton. I'm going to be in Hilton that day. Damn it. I was just assuming that was like a 10 o'clock
late.
tip or
That'd
something.
been a late night special.
God.
Can I make a prediction?
Can you and me handle Big 12 scheduling from now on? Horrible.
I'm gonna put this out in the internet right now.
Okay.
I think Baylor keeps that super, super tight tomorrow night. Super
Okay.
tight. Baylor's playing really well right now. Nobody's kind of looking at them, but I think they might win that game, and then we'll see what happens.
Ooh.
I'm just putting it on in the ether here.
Okay.
They're gonna be double-digit underdogs. I totally understand that, but I think they might win that game.
I mean, they do have Scott Drew. Is Scott Drew ranked so you have Self, Otzelberg, Hoiberg, the greatest coaches in Big 12 basketball history. Not Big 8, Big 12. Where's Scott Drew ranked? I'm serious.
Oh man, he's been there since.
So it's Self 1, Otzelberger 2, Hoiberg 3.
Do you include
Sampson's got to be
Kelvin
in the.
Sampson he had 2 different stints.
Where does Drew rank?
Where is Eddie Sutton in this mix? He had a nice run. What about that old guy at Texas Tech who was anyway, Mark Adams? That guy had that thing burned out fast.
Chris Beard. Where does he fit into the conversation?
Is he in the conversation?
This is a off-season
yeah.
summer
great.
series.
Real quick, can you pull up? I'm going to test
Yeah.
your producer skills. Our guy, Greg Mackey, yesterday?
Oh, I can't do this on the fly, but
Okay. Well,
I-
Google him.
And it's all over Cyclone Fanatic social
Yeah.
media. Go to our social media pages
So-
because we made a graphic for this and everything.
At the Pop-Tarts Bowl, we took a photo of Dan McCartney holding the name's Lager, and Mackey, who's a monster Iowa
He's a
State
diehard fan. Yeah,
maybe one of the biggest out there,
and
says,
a really good dude too.
if Iowa State wins this game, I'm getting this tattooed. And everyone's like, ha ha ha, just like, yeah,
That's
yeah.
cute.
Lo and behold,
Son of a bitch did it.
he did it yesterday, and it is glorious. That
Honestly,
your tattoo
like-
artist needs more money. That was really well done.
It's one of my favorite Iowa State fan things I've ever seen.
I totally agree. Like, the guy needs, and I've already talked to my people at Ames Lager. We are going to hook him up. We're going to hook him up.
He should get Ames Lager for life.
I mean, we're trending that way.
The son of a bitch just got Dan McCartney holding an Ames Lager tattooed on his body for
arm.
eternity.
Legend, Mackey.
If you're listening to this and you think you're an Iowa State fan, I challenge you.
And if you see Mackey, buy him a beer. Buy him
Yeah.
a Cody Road. Buy him
That
whatever
guy
he
shouldn't
wants.
have to buy a beer in Ames
Nope.
the rest of his life.
Nope. It's just like Kyle Conrarty, everybody.
I agree. Conrarty, free beer. Is he even 21?
Nope.
Nope. When he turns 21, after his playing career,
After
he
a couple
better
more
not
game
ever
winners.
have to pay a beer again. He is Brent Blum. My name is Chris Williams. Enjoy your Super Bowl Sunday. Let's get an undefeated week for the Iowa State University. We'll be back on Wednesday morning.